Truth Tuesday.
Hey.
Number 2.
How's it going?
Our second Truth Talk Tuesday. Oh my gosh.
So
Can I say what you
exciting.
did?
And Miss Tanya's with us this time. Yay.
I am. I missed you guys. I was having FOMO last week.
Aw,
I know we missed you too. Yeah.
the crowd missed you.
Yeah. People were like, where's Tanya? We're like, sorry, but she'll be on the next one.
We were getting
my son cut his head open, so that was a lot of fun to deal with, for a 5-year-old who thinks that he's like Spider-Man.
Well, I used to have a cousin. Honestly, he loved Superman, and he'd put a cape on and he'd be on the top bunk bed and thought, he could just jump off of there. He jumped off the roof of the house, busted his arm. It's like no fear.
That's
no
what
fear.
kids do. Yeah.
You said
But he's good. Everything's good. So
you said the other day it was like your first time going into the hospital with him, and I was shocked because
knock on wood, it was my first time ever having to take him there. And ironically enough, like I don't know if it's a lot of scare tactics, who knows what, but there was not a single, and this is like this is Children's Hospital, and everyone's like, it's packed, it's so busy. There wasn't a single person there. And when I say not a single person, I mean not one person in front of me.
Wow, really?
And I was like, this place is like eerily empty,
Interesting. So if that's the case, this is Ottawa and not
Ottawa.
Because I know in Ontario we've been hearing about all the shortages and patients are suffering because
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But then you've got all these. Sorry?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say you've got all of these healthcare workers that would like to work. And, people are screaming, oh, we've got shortages. This is why surgeries are so backed up. And, we've got all these children that, I think it was 12,000 children that are waiting for surgeries. But they won't hire back all the staff that, could fix that problem. So.
Well, here's the thing. At the same time, I was like, God was definitely like looking out for us, because by the time we left, it was busier. Like there was people there.
Yeah.
But at least in my case, I'm going to say, we walked right in. I was like, they better not say anything about the mask for my son. He's going to be 5, right? So, but we know like they're trying to force it on everybody. And I walk in. At this point, I was obviously not going to fight not wearing a mask or not. I want to get my son in. So I wore my mesh one. And if anybody knows me, like this is what I wore in the airport when we were leaving to Turkey. And it's a mesh mask, and it's like completely see-through, but it's got so much glitter on it that you can't really see through it. So I'm about to walk in, right? I haven't been to the hospital, so I don't know what the protocols are. And right away, they're like, excuse me, miss, you can't wear your own mask. You got to throw on one of ours. And I was like, I'm sorry, actually, I'm allergic to the graphene in that. And then he was like, oh, okay, then go ahead. And I just wore mine in there. And it's funny because it's like, I could have been like, oh, I'm exempt. Oh, I'm allergic, this and that. But I felt like the fact that I mentioned, a component of it, he was like, oh, okay, she must know what she's talking about. And I walked right in.
Good.
Nice.
Speaking of our healthcare system, what do you guys think of becoming the #1 organ donor through MAID country? We're official.
I'm disgusted.
Organ
harvesters. I can't even believe it.
Yeah, you know what? That's interesting that this is being brought up, because I years ago put on there that like they could have all my organs, like take it all, take everything that you need, and then you can give the rest of me back to my daughter so that she can do what she needs to do with me. And now that all this stuff is going on, I'm like, nope. I will not be doing that, and I've actually got to make that change as well, because that's
how do you do that? I was just going to ask, because we're the same thing. Like all of us are organ donors. You think that that's the right thing to do? You do it through. You used to do it through driver's license.
Well, now you don't trust what they're doing with your organs, right?
Exactly.
Well, and take note that even if you have declined it, when you go in and get your new license or whatever it may be, they don't tell you have to physically go into the website now to opt out. You're still an organ donor until you go yourself and opt out. And I found that I was shocked when I heard that. So my kid went and got a new health card the other day, and I was like, oh, heck no. Mm-mm. So
what's the balance with that though? Because you think about people who have received eyes that have never been able to see, or somebody who's received, like my girlfriend, remember last year, who had the kidney transplant, like she needed 2 kidneys. She was not doing well. Like, how do you balance that where you don't want to go into this where it's going to be used corruptly, but you know that there's people out there that need it. You don't want to hold back from them.
Well, Danielle, you're not vaccinated anyways. They're not going to take it from you. You're disgusting.
Seriously, help me out now. Like, how do you
I
figure out
don't even
what
know what
the
to
balance
say. It's horrible.
is?
We won't know. I feel like we don't know. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
And this is a good point too, you guys. Look at this.
Yeah. If my family can't receive it, we're not donating. Wait, so if you're
Mm.
not vaccinated, you can't receive organ donations?
Yeah, no, the surgeries, they basically will not do the actual surgery. That's the way they coerce people and basically say, no, if you want the surgery, you need to get the jab.
Even if you want MAID.
So I don't really disagree with that Amanda's statement there.
Mhm.
My family can't receive it. I'm not donating. I don't trust it. I mean, I myself, I'm not an organ donor. I always kind of was skeptical on it. But if I'm alive and someone that I know needs it, I'd be more than happy to give a kidney or something. But
Yeah.
I find it's a very broken system.
But they wouldn't even let you give it.
And it's a broken system because they will prioritize someone with money or elite or globalists 5-10 times over before someone that actually needs it. So you might think you're doing something good and that innocent child is actually dying so that they can give it to this person's 4th heart transplant.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having that happening and it being like Trudeau?
Oh God, don't even.
Yeah.
I don't even.
I'd be like, please God, stop my heart in that person.
Hey, you know how you've seen movies sometimes where like or like an organ donor, like somebody gets their heart or whatever and it changes them into like more the organ that's beating. Hey.
Yeah, maybe he'll be
you never know. Just like, totally flip a switch or something.
Oh my. That scenario, it just doesn't sit well with me at all.
I know.
Speaking of movies, actually, little segue here. I was watching a Laura Lynn's video, and she had, I wrote it all down, but I can't find it right now. There's a movie that's coming out, and she was interviewing the guy who used to be Hercules. Do you guys know who he is? David something. Okay. So he's in a movie that's literally between now and I think till the 29th, or 26th to the 29th. I'm just looking at it right now. I think your mom actually sent me this, Alicia. And it's at all the theaters, and it's called Left Behind: Rise of the Antichrist. And apparently it is about everything to do with what's going on right now. Everything from digital IDs, digital banking, one world order, like everything that we're going through right now, and sort of
It's very much a prophecy.
Yeah, so it looked phenomenal. So I'm definitely going to get down to the theater and see that. We should go.
Well, just make sure that you watch part 1 first, Danny, which is called Left Behind.
With Nicolas Cage, apparently they were saying, right? Yeah, for sure.
That's the original. And then this is part 2. So for anybody, before you go to the theater, which actually I think it started yesterday, January 23rd, you need to go on Netflix or whatever and watch Left Behind, which is the original. That's part 1. And this is part 2.
Okay. And Kevin Sorbo also does, I think he owns a part in PureFlix. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that or watched that, but when I boycotted Netflix, I went to PureFlix, and it's all
Pure films,
family, faith, uplifting, non-garbage or indoctrination viewing.
And you can get onto PureFlix for 99 cents for the first month right now too. I just saw that yesterday.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Now, PureFlix isn't the Candace Cameron initiative, is it?
No, I think her brother has something to do with it though, and I think that she's related to it, but I don't think it's not her one. She's got another one, I think.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So much new stuff happening and going on. Alternatives, better ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good stuff. The fall of the cabal.
No doubt.
Well, nice to know that all of Hollywood isn't, totally corrupt. Like we've been it's been easy to paint everybody with the same paintbrush, right? And we know that there's a lot of people out there in Hollywood that are not that way. And I know, for instance, with my mom working in the film industry, I know a huge crowd of the people that she was working with, because she was working on a lot of those heartfelt types of shows and whatnot. So, a lot of the people that were related to her or connected with her and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of good people out there, and it's nice to see them putting out good quality film now too.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Exactly.
So what else, ladies? What's going on?
Did you see what happened to Kristen? I'm sure you guys did.
I posted
I cannot believe that they are
Shocked.
teaching that now in school.
Shocked.
in
There
at
was
least 5
Very
colleges.
disturbing.
5. Okay, they failed a student for sticking up for her in a project last year. Failed the kid.
No
Out.
way.
Yep. St. Clair College did it last year. They totally Wakefielded her. I don't know if you saw the video. That was the one she did last year when a student actually recorded it and sent it to her, and she sent it to me. And then where did she say? I think she said Georgian, York, St. Clair, Fanshawe. She's dying to find out what's going on at Western. But that was being taught in an ethics class, you guys. An ethics class. First of all, get your story straight, because the whole thing is lies. You know how I know? I was actually recording with her there. I was there step by step by step. I was there. You know? It was ridiculous. They were not at the January 6th event, period. It was a health freedom conference. It was not an anti-mask rally. It was ridiculous. So everything they had on that slide was complete and utter lies and garbage. Propaganda to scare the students into complying with the way they need.
Complying, yeah. Don't ever step out of line. Yeah.
Well, you can look at that. The whole propaganda, like where it stemmed from, that whole insurrection thing that happened was a whole propaganda that happened to scare people away from standing up for their rights, so that nobody would ever want to go and debate, election fraud and all those sorts of things. And now they're using it in the hospitals or in the schools to teach people to stay in alignment. And so I was just disgusted.
Well, that's how they do it, right? They finally have more stories in school to teach, right? Because any doctors that I've gotten into debates with about vaccines or anything like that, they all spew the exact same line about Wakefield, every single one of them. And that's what they're taught. So it's like, yes, we've got more resources that we could try to use as examples, and they're running with it. They're looking for this stuff.
Well, what an honor it is to be the biggest threat to the medical system that's out there. So go, Kristen, keep speaking your voice, girl.
Well, I told her to call and see if they wanted to do a Q&A.
Sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're going to use her name, they should use her information.
Yeah.
Take it straight from the horse's mouth, but I'm sure that's too dangerous.
But not only that, can she, is this not defamation?
She cannot sue for defamation of character.
It's defamation. It's blatant lies. And usually, especially when they're in a forum like that, and now they're going to use this as teaching in school, that's just.
Especially because how the lawsuit worked in their favor. So now they're still trying to teach it in school. I feel like she can really use that against them.
But look at the silver lining, you guys. Look at the silver lining. People are absolutely sickened and disgusted that the fact that that's even going up. Those schools are crumbling from the inside out, and their God complex is so big that they don't think they can fall, and they're falling, but they can't see themselves breaking their limbs on the way down. It's going to be a hard crash. I'm telling you, when this thing goes down, no one inside is going to know what's happening around them. It's crazy.
Well, the doctors in BC.
Well, think about it. Tanya. In a world where we're teaching younger kids freedom, in a sense, as free to choose your gender, free to choose your religion, free to choose, but then they're also being indoctrinated to not have that freedom. I feel like they're not realizing that they're creating this contradiction that's getting them to take a step back and be like, wait. You told me I'm okay to choose what I want, but then if I actually do, I'm being penalized. So I feel like that's where it's really going to work against them.
100%.
So, well, that's for the doctors in BC here that are all the healthcare workers are fighting in BC right now against this Bill 36 that we touched on last week. And if you haven't already gotten out to go get your petitions going, they need actual live signature petitions. And this is so that the doctors and all the healthcare practitioners, I mean, like I said, this is chiropractors, massage therapists, doctors, nurses, that if they speak out against anything related to any of the vaccines, they can stand up to get up to a $200,000 fine or 6 months in jail, and of course, or lose their job. And but if they are responsible to take all of the vaccines that come down the pike for them. So not just COVID, anything and anything that they want to mandate for them, they have to take it. And if they speak out against it, these are the repercussions of it. So I know that you can get petitions online. Do you know what the website is for that, Alicia? Or if there's one of the viewers that knows the website for it, you can actually get the petition. I think I'm on page 3 of ours right now. And
I am typing it right
lots of
now.
signatures right now on this, and they need live signatures too. So we've got to
Yeah.
push back and try and
From
get
BC though.
Yes.
just
yeah.
BC right now, but it's like the tip of the spear. It's, Alicia was saying the other day, it's like whatever's happening here is going to be trickling down everywhere else eventually.
Yeah. So this is the doctor's website, and there's actually quite a few of them. The website's got a lot of information. It's got the info on Bill 36, and it really is the same thing as what they did in California. So you guys know in California they basically passed a law like doctors are not even allowed to, no dissension, none. They even breathe the co-flu and any advice other than what the government says. That's it. They're done. And so, this is the same thing. BC is doing the exact same thing. And so it comes with a 6-month, jail term and $200,000 fine. So if we can't turn this around in this province, these doctors, and there's a lot of them, and it's not just doctors, it's doctors, chiros, massage therapists, they're going to leave. They're going to leave and they'll go to Alberta, or they'll go somewhere where they can practice and honor their oath without being fearful of losing their license
or create private practices, and that's going to be the new form of healthcare. Because I always say, healthcare is changing now. No one wants that anymore. I'm willing to pay for private healthcare instead of paying taxes, which essentially would probably save me money to be able to have that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know how it works logistically when you have a private practice. You still have a license under the college, so it would really, I think.
But if you're calling yourself a doctor, change your name to a consultant.
If you don't have to call yourself a doctor, and you can practice the same thing. Exactly. There's loopholes.
There's loopholes everywhere, and you know what? We can play them at their own game.
Right.
At the end of the day,
you can just put graduate of doctorate, whatever, but you're not saying I'm a practicing doctor. I'm a practicing physician.
Well, they do have a case right now that's they're doing a judicial review, and so they're needing a lot of fundraising. They've done really well. They pulled in a lot of finances themselves as well to get this going. And their case is the only one out of all the ones that are being heard right now, at least, that they're the ones that are challenging the science. They're trying to force the government to actually give them data, not an opinion. Because right now it's an opinion. It's not the data. We know what the data is. So yeah, these guys are, they're really fighting for us. And I think that if they succeed in this case, it's really going to assist every single case that's out there right now under judicial review for healthcare workers.
But they need a lot more help right now financially. So if anybody's interested to go there and support them, it's definitely a worthy cause over here in BC for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Amanda, it looks like you're doing some health expo or something like that. Or want to tell the viewers a little bit more about that? That looks like a really great thing. What's that?
I said yes, and guess what? I'm so excited. It's the first time I've been out in a year. It is the first time I am leaving my house to do boots on the ground event in a year, and it's like a magical unicorn sighting. I'm so excited. I'm going to be doing the Justice for the Vaxxed Health Conference that's coming up in Toronto on February 4th and 5th. There's a lot of doctors there that are going to be speaking. There's some lawyers there. Kristen's going to be there. Dr. Joseph Kellerstein, who is the man that helped me save my dad's life when he was in the hospital last December with his homeopathic treatments. We've got him in there. Glenn, I can't stop calling him Gord now. It's going to be stuck in my head.
Yeah. Bright
Light News, he's going. So it's going to be a great time. It's Saturday and Sunday. I'm speaking both days. And I think I've got a breakout room with Kristen there. And then there's a dinner on Saturday night and the whole 9 yards. So if you're in the Toronto area, I think you can get tickets at vaxjustice.org. I hope I'm saying that right. vaxjustice.org. It's on the Justice for the Vaccinated tour bus. And the reason why I'm going is because you all know that I brought Vaxxed to Canada, and I started Vaxxed Canada, and I completely support this initiative, and getting justice for these people. I mean, regardless of whether they got it, it was never about winning. It was never about I told you so. It was about helping humanity get through this. So the people that are injured now, they know, and they're not going back. So if I can help in any way with that, regardless of my dad, you all know that my youngest was vaccine injured when she was an infant. So that started my journey, and that's how it got me into Vaxxed, which turned into Children's Health Defense, which also came with You Beautiful Ladies as well. So yeah, I can't wait. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, but I think
Yeah, so much to talk
I
about.
know.
I was going to say, that'll talk for you.
It's been a year. I don't know. I don't even know if I can still talk. I don't know.
You'll be fine. It's like riding a bike. You'll be great.
I hope so.
Mhm.
I can't
Yeah.
wait. I just can't wait to mix and mingle with my people again, you know?
Yeah. So what are the costs of the tickets to go?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
See, I don't. Here's my problem, and I know this bites me in the rear end multiple times a year. I don't do anything for money. I don't take money for any of the work I do. Everything I do is voluntary because we need to win before we can even think. We need to set the precedent. It needs to be grassroots. My priorities are creating a better world for my kids before I think about the money I'm going to take for anything else. So that's my stance on it. I know it's not everybody's
for a cause. I agree.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just
100%.
that's not me. It's not me.
I know.
So I don't know how much it costs. You'll have to look at the website. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I think, you know what, if it's a fundraiser for a good cause, like Tanya said, that's, you know,
That's
other than
different because
that.
you're paying for just what you need to hold the event, right?
Yeah,
It's not like, hey, I
100%.
want to make profits off of this.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Right. Yay.
Tanya, what about you? You've got something going on there too. You're helping people build their health businesses and stuff.
I'm working on so many things.
We had a health talk last week, and we were missing you in it. So
I know. You should have totally been last week.
Questions.
What I started to notice is like so many people come to me. I do so many consultations, and people are like, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that with healing and detoxes and children's vaccines and this and this, that? And like, yes, I know a lot because I do my own research, but there's only so much I can teach somebody else, right? Like if you think about all the different ways of healing, there's just so many. Yes, I focus on herbalism and plant medicine, but then there's people that are into, you know, nutrition and dietitians. And there's someone who does like blood work and iridology. And then there's someone who's an energy worker. And there's just so many. And it's like the reality is there's not just one way of healing. There's so many. I find a lot of them are actually, they work together. And so I was actually in Turkey when I had that aha moment where I was like, I can only do so much to help people. Why don't I try to empower people to build themselves up the way I have, to get their knowledge out there so that people could learn from them, because I can't just do it all myself. And so, yes, I turned around to say, let me just teach now people how to build an online wellness business so that you can have financial freedom, abundance, all of that stuff, especially in the last few years, taking it away from, you know, corporate power and stuff. So that's kind of where it came from. Because I was like, I can only do so much myself. I would hold Q&As and it was overwhelming. Like I'd get hundreds and hundreds every single time I'd do one Q&A in 24 hours. And it's just, it's not realistic. And there's so many different, not just healers, stories. Amanda's story, Amanda might not be a healer, but yes, she is, because her story is helping people. You know what I mean? Alicia, same thing with you. And I was more putting it out there saying like, you don't actually have to be, hey, I've got a degree, I've got a certification, I've got this. It's like, if you've got a story and you've got a passion for the health and wellness industry, you can totally make a business out of it. And I'm not talking about charging for a freedom fighting event, because I don't believe in that. I'm talking about leveraging a way to use your knowledge to put it out there for like minimal. Like my medicinal herb guard is $7. You can't tell me that's a make it or break it, but I charge $7 because I put so much time and effort into teaching you all of this stuff into one place. And that's kind of what I'm teaching people how to do. So like whether you're starting from zero, whether you have a background in health and nutrition and wellness and all that stuff, or you've just got a story that can help so many people, then let's create a business out of it. Let's start making that the new form of healthcare and healing, and no longer rely on the corporate pharma or government entities.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Community healing.
That's exactly it. 100%.
I love it.
So yes, on that note, I'm holding a free masterclass. It's an 8-day long masterclass. It's completely free that you guys can register to on my social media, Tanya Herbalist. You'll see me talk about it. You guys can register for free. And that's February 6th, we go live.
Have you done very much research into different diets and stuff like that? Because as you know, Alicia and I have been going down our little health protocol for the last few months and stuff. A long time ago, I had looked into being a holistic nutritionist and stuff. So I've literally know that, you know, people have healed themselves through juicing and fasting and vegetarian and keto, and like we've kind of done all of it. And there's healing down all of those journeys, and you have to figure out what works for you. And I know one of the things I haven't
that's
really
exactly it. You're right. There's no one diet. What it is I find that it's the lack of balance. So when someone does a keto diet and it works for them, it's because they've lacked so much fatty foods, you know. And if someone's doing plant-based, it's because they've lacked all those nutrients for so long. But I see people doing carnivore diets as well, and they excel in that. So you can't just say it's one or the other. Why? Because I have worked with people who have been plant-based for 10, 15 years. And this is my opinion, but I believe that plant-based is amazing for alkalizing the body, for fighting cancer, for fighting autoimmune diseases, all that stuff. Long term, once you've beat that battle, I don't think it's a long-term solution, because the demineralization starts to happen in bones and stuff because the lack of animal protein. So I have worked with so many people who are like completely plant-based and then saying, I've got my teeth chipping more than they typically would. I've got broken, like I broke my hip or I dislocated, I did all this stuff. And I tell them, hey, why don't we slowly try to reintroduce animal protein? And their health accelerated like crazy. So I find that people struggle with like a one mindset of like, this is how I have to do it and I got to stick to it, versus realizing the same way there's changing seasons, the same way there's the world, like, you know, things change, so do we, and we need to adapt to that. It's not like one diet, that's it. I feel like having that transformational, you know, plant-based, and then, you know, introducing meat and then going back to plant-based, but at the same time detoxing, all of that I find is where you actually find optimal health.
It's funny that you brought up the carnivore diet, because that was I had just brought that up. One of our girlfriends has been doing it. She's having tremendous results, and so she wanted to share with Alicia
because
and
she probably lacked a lot of animal protein in her upbringing. That's what I'm saying. So you can't just say, oh, it's just one fix. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was looking into eating for your blood type, which I thought was really interesting. And I thought to myself, oh, you know, because every various blood type, it does incorporate, you know, a balance of, you know, whether it's proteins, you know, vegetables, fruits, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like for myself being O negative, it's saying that my diet actually should
I'm O negative. Good to know we could donate to each other.
There you go. But yeah, so they're saying O negative should have actually a high protein diet and, you know, fruits and vegetables and all that stuff, but limited on grains and stuff like that. So a smaller portion amount, not that you eliminate anything. It's just that, you know, the balance between. So I thought to myself, wow, okay, that's really interesting.
Well, when you're healthy, like most people, their body tells them what they're craving.
Right.
And a lot of people will confuse I'm hungry for I'm nutrient deficient.
Right.
So for example, people that are overweight, they're like constantly eating because they constantly feel hungry, but it's their body telling them, hey, eat because I'm lacking nutrients and vitamins, but they're eating all the wrong foods. The diet that I believe in the most, me personally, is ancestral dieting. How did our ancestors eat? They eat from the earth. They hunt their food, they fish their food, they eat from the ground, you know, like for me, that's the best way of eating and where you should be getting your foods. But listen to your body. Like, for example, I don't eat red meat very often, but for the last 2 days, I'm craving red meat to the point that I was like, all I could think about is a steak. And I was like, maybe my body's lacking something that it needs it. You know what I mean? What did I do today? I ate steak, you know, and I probably won't crave it for a while after that. But that happens where your body's craving like sugars, natural sugars, maybe because you're lacking some of that. Like, the point is listen to your diet. It doesn't lie. Like, just, it's about keeping those nutrients and vitamins. And now I drink Athletic Greens every single morning on an empty stomach. And man, this thing's got like all of your vitamins from food derived into one quick 8-ounce drink. You mix it with water. It's amazing. It's so worth it. And you feel great. Like your skin looks great. Your everything feels great. And you're like, doesn't matter what I eat the rest of the day. I've got all my vitamins in my body pretty much. And I'm talking about A, D, K, C, all of it.
Well, when talking to Cheryl too, one of the points that she had brought up, and it totally makes sense. And we talk about the seasonal eating, right? Where it's
exactly super important.
And the example Cheryl gave, she's like, "Why are we eating strawberries in the middle of summertime?
I don't eat strawberries exactly.
In the middle of winter time.
Yeah,
right.
You're right. So that's the thing is, look around you, because I could say in Ontario is not the same thing as BC, and in BC is not the same thing as in Hawaii, and Hawaii is not the same thing in Australia, right? You grow, and you should be eating what's growing around you. Why? Because it's growing around you. It's growing in the soil around you based on your environment. This is what your body needs. That's why it's so important, for example, to eat something like local honey. Local honey is very important. It needs to be local. Why? Because that bee takes the environmental pollutants and everything into that honey. That's what you need. That's what helps with seasonal allergies. That's what helps with, you know, all these different things that you typically have around your environment.
Oh, I think your husband's trying to pull one over on you there, Danny.
My body's not that ice cream.
Honestly,
block this guy.
Listen to your body, Chris.
Yeah,
listen
yeah.
to your body.
The dairy factor in the Pastilli house is like high demand.
Alicia says it's just not a dinner unless there's cheese on it. It's that commercial when you don't want your kids to live at the house anymore. Stop cooking with cheese.
Yeah, that's the
I actually
Pastilli house.
got a ton of raw milk that I want to make butter with, because I was like, oh, this is what I need to do.
Oh, nice. Actually, you know what? I saw where was it? On social media that people are literally starting to make their own butter and stuff. I was like,
well, Amanda showed me her
I
making
do?
hers. Yeah,
Do you
Amanda
make
makes
your own
her
butter
own.
too?
Yeah, she does.
Nice.
I make whatever I can on my own.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I just want to say, because I want you guys to go over and listen to this, I found a long lost friend from over 25, it's almost 25 years ago now, okay? I found him the other day. His name is Paul Leftenegger. He's on our show. He's watching us. He has the voice of an angel. He travels the world singing for God.
Can we bring him on?
I want to bring him on, but I want you guys to go and listen to his music over on his YouTube or on his Facebook channel. Go and check him out, everybody. He's
awesome.
Absolutely stellar. Paul Leftenegger. Let me see if I can find one of his comments here. Here he goes. Amen. So that's him right there. Go check out his Facebook page. Voice of an Angel, you guys. He travels the freaking world.
Paul, are you coming to Vancouver anytime soon?
Pardon me?
Is Paul coming to Vancouver anytime soon?
I can't. You keep cutting out when you say that.
He's going to Vancouver anytime soon.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. Paul, are you going to Vancouver anytime soon? Yeah. Yeah, just check him out. Honest to God. We went to school together and then we ended up finding each other on Facebook. But I had no idea it was him and he had no idea it was me. And then we're just talking like freedom fighters do. Like, yeah. And then all of a sudden I had a dream that I recognized his face from when we were in school, like a million years ago. And I just said, you wouldn't have happened to go here, did you? And he's like, well, I did. Why'd you ask? I was in your class. He's like, I knew it.
I think this is his website.
There, yes. Good.
There you go.
Good. He's laughing at me.
You go.
I love you, Paul. I love you. I'm so glad.
I love that he calls himself a musical alchemist.
That's what I was trying to find. I just couldn't find the words. It's
nice. Nice. I'll definitely have to check it out for sure when later on this evening for me.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I just had to say that because that was a really amazing event that happened to me in the last couple of weeks. They don't happen very often, so I just wanted to throw it out there.
Well, let this be the year that more of that comes into, your life, Amanda, and everybody's life. I think, we've had a rough road. It's been a rough road. So we're all deserving of some beautiful things happening in our lives. So.
Yeah. I agree. It's time for us to put on another entertainment event, ladies.
I know, right?
We come together and I have just the thing. We'll talk about it later.
We got some ideas brewing too.
Good. Yay. So what else? It's a slow Tuesday.
Yeah,
It's a slow news Tuesday.
it is. Yeah, it is.
That's not a bad thing.
No, no, yeah. I think like last week, there's a little less this week, which is okay. I mean, it's nice to just have that nice breather where you're just like not all like,
I think the
amped
most
up.
important thing though too is to remember, because like I find like yes, like we're here coming and we're having truth talks and all this stuff, and sometimes there's a lot of people that are very like into that negative emotion talk, right? Because naturally it's very easy for us to be, quick on the negative information and not the positive, right? Because we resonate with that gossip, that bad news. And it's like remembering to just take yourself out of that survival mindset into that success mindset. So don't stick there. We don't have to be in survival mode. You don't have to be like, how am I going to survive what's happening? How am I going to do that? No, you could shift it over to that success mindset and know that like, I'll figure out a way. The same way we figured out a way 3 years later, and all of us are still sitting here with pure bloods and we figured it out and we're navigating through life. Like it's having that mindset versus that survival mindset. Because I find a lot of people that are deep down the rabbit hole become very negative
Cynical.
in a sense of, too caught up into it and saying, well, the world is shit and health is shit and they're trying to poison us, they're trying to kill us, and and the reality is, yeah, that's the reality.
They
But at the
are.
same time, you're forgetting how good the world is and how many of us are bringing good to the world. And that needs to be the focus, and put your energy in that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody
Definitely.
being controlled up. You can't walk around the world like with that mindset constantly, because
Mhm.
number one, it kills me. It kills me. I'm dying laughing. When you sent that to me today, I almost died. Oh, here we go again. Sorry guys, I'm an actress. And the
Amanda
Oscar goes
Cabal.
to Amanda Cabal Forbes.
Oh yeah.
Once
I
again,
know.
sorry, I share a name with a Fortune whatever 500 company. I don't get any of that money, people. I have nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
And as for being an actress, maybe you want to come to my house and watch my dad for me while I go take a few lessons, and then I'll let you know. Okay? Great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
got nothing better to do with their time than try and tear other people down,
And there's
right?
freedom fighters that are spending way too much energy trying to attack other freedom fighters instead. But that's what I'm saying. It's like I find that a lot of people are now so focused their energy versus finding the balance between doing what I'm passionate about and keeping life going, because life has to keep going, while pursuing the fight and keeping one foot in and saying like, how am I going to keep this going, and being aware of what's happening and what's coming, but not having it overly consume my life. Because at the end of the day,
Mhm.
like what do you thrive off of? Like me in the last 3 years, yeah, I focus on building my business, and that's where I get like, some people are like, you're like overly positive in a negative world. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do, sit here and cry about the world? You guys, one of two things is going to happen. I'm going to die in the fight, or I'm going to make it through the fight. Either way, I'm happy. Cool.
Yeah.
Does that mean I get to see God if I die in it, or survive and get to see peace on earth when, Jesus makes his resurrection? Okay, cool. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like either way, I'm happy. That's my point. And that's where people have to like shift that mindset of like, what's the worst that can happen? You die in it or you survive. Isn't that like, aren't you happy and at peace both ways?
Yeah.
I
I
Well,
feel
totally
here
agree.
is the
sorry for
government.
those people that are caught so far on the other end, like they've made it through this far, and yet they can't see that positive, like you've said, and everything goes to the negative, and
They
everybody
forget
is
that there's
against
still good
them.
in the world, right?
Everybody out there is controlled up. That's not how the world works.
Mhm.
I mean, and I'm guilty of it too. I have gone down that path. I was telling you ladies too. I've gone down that path where, every time I turn around, I'm like, no, you're controlled up. No way. There's no possible way you were there at the right time and doing that and with this, that, and that, and the other thing. Controlled up, controlled up, controlled up, controlled up. And I had to stop myself and take a breath and realize how miserable I was making myself, right? You control you, and you can only do you, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
don't put that negativity out into the airwaves. If someone has shown you bad actions, say a little prayer for them, move along, wish them well.
Stay
That's
in
all
your
we can
lane.
do. You
Let them
can't
stay in
change their
theirs.
mind, and I don't
Mhm.
care to. I
Mhm.
just do what I do for my family, for you guys, for the people that are in the fight for the right reasons. And at the end of the day, can I say I'm happy with what I've done? 100%. Do I wish I could have done more in the last year? You have no idea. Right? But we are who we are, and the universe shows us which way we're going and which way we're taking if we're listening to the signs.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's just
And
me.
No, I think it's great. And I think it's true. I mean, honestly, I don't really think that there is a lot of controlled opposition out there. But the
Mhm.
one thing that I think people need to remember is you got to look at it like this. There are opportunists. There
Correct.
are, right? They're not on a government payroll, but they're opportunists out there that take, instances and situations, and they try and get what they can attain for themselves. So that happens, and that happens everywhere. It doesn't matter. And usually someone who's opportunistic, they were this way before the co-flu, right?
Yeah.
This is just another, reason to be able to grasp onto, something that they want to obtain. So I think people need to not so often use the CO term and just kind of look at it like, okay, maybe they're just opportunists. Because I mean, there's many of those in all walks of life and have been always. So
Mickey Willis just did a new video about that. Actually, did you see that?
Yeah, it was so good.
He says it's in his eloquent, just peaceful way. He just says, that one of the biggest things when people he'd been an advocate for over 20 years, and he says for human advocacy, and he says, and one of the biggest things that happens when we get so close to the end of the fight is that we lose because of infighting.
Yeah.
And it's because of people accusing each other of being controlled opposition, and just the dynamics around what happens within the movement is what can really literally destroy the unity, because us coming together is the government's biggest fear. And when we are together, it is way more powerful. But that is going to require people to be able to, yes, we can come together, but stay in their own lane. Like there is still a balance. And even Mickey said at the end of it, he goes, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be called out by name who are taking down the good works of others, because that is what's happening. And those are the people that are actually just like they're screaming unity, but backhanding you with, taking down the good works of other people rather than just staying in their lane and hopefully just showing by example the energy that people want to attract to that. So, if people just stayed in that way. So with that being said, actually, Action for Canada is having Mickey Willis on their show tomorrow, Wednesday, 5:00. I think the show starts at 4:30, but he comes on at 5, and it's literally talking about the psyops and everything, propaganda, and what's happening with our kids, and the whole LGBTQ community, with what's happening in the back end of that. So I think it's going to be a really great show. So if anybody wants to watch, you can go to actionforcanada.com and register to watch tomorrow's show.
Can I also just say, for those of you that are struggling with this type of thing out there, I just started another book that was recommended to me that has been absolutely astronomical right now. It's called Surrounded by Psychopaths by Thomas Erickson. I've got the audiobook going, and he has another one that is Surrounded by Idiots. And it's not as harsh as it sounds, but it teaches you the personality types and the things to look out for and how to diffuse that type of thing. It's really a good book. So, and it's helped me a lot, kind of just to let the stupidity of what comes out of some people's mouths go, because I mean, we all struggle with it no matter what we say, because there's hurt that comes from me. As soon as I see it, I'm hurt, because I'm like, well, what did I do? What have I done wrong? All I do is fight. That's it. But yeah, you can't win them all, and you can't change how people think about you.
It really helps to build you a thicker skin, though.
I've been in this fight before reinforcements were here. I've been fighting the vaccine fight since 2014, when my little one almost took, anyways, I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, so I've watched everyone come into this fight. I've watched how they've operated from the beginning, and I've watched some of the opportunists walk in and take advantage of others. And you know what? As soon as the money started flying around and it took away from actual causes that could bring change, is when I had to take many steps back and kind of realign and figure out what was important, right? So, and that's when I said, I will never take money for anything that's going on until we have won this battle and my children are free to not even worry about this crap for the rest of their lives. So that's just me.
Yep. Well, I'm with you on that one. You know, I think the best place that we can be is in service of others, not in service of self, and surely not making money off the backs of people suffering. Like
Right.
that's probably the one thing that really boils my blood is, you know, seeing there are people out there that do this, and it's, you know, it's tough. You want to protect everybody, but you get to a place too is sometimes you can't always do that. You have to let people kind of walk through that path and kind of figure it out themselves. But yeah, I think if we all could just do that for each other, we'll get a lot farther, a lot faster, you know? And I always call it the I want to wear a cape complex. And it seems that we've got a few, you know, that have this problem, you know? So very competitive nature, you know, willing to do things, you know, to groups and people and members to, you know, have their way regardless. And unfortunately, it can really obliterate something that, you know, is beautiful and very strong. But I also think that everything happens for a reason. And, you know, you just have to see what unfolds. And I trust the most that everything happens is because God has his hands in everything. And, you know, everything's supposed to be sometimes shooken up and moved around.
Yeah,
right?
Rejection is God's protection.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, you
It's
know,
also having the discernment too, to, you know, when you see people who are taking down the good works of somebody else, I think you coined it before, Amanda, was that hive mentality. And it's like, you know, these people that think that they are awake, and because they don't believe everything the government tells them, and then they'll listen to the one thing that somebody out there tells them within the movement that might be literally brought into the movement to create that kind of distraction. And, you know, and then it does destroy the movement, destroy the momentum of the fundraising efforts for really credible groups that are fighting this fight for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you gotta have that discernment too. Like, where are you hearing the information from? Do your own research before you just take it at face value and listen to everybody else that's just because.
And we can't, yeah, I was going to say, we can't just be awake to the co-flu. If you can discern the co-flu, you need to be able to discern those around you as well. You know, just don't feed into like the gossip train.
Well, and it's human nature, right? People want to be like, what? Like, no, but you just don't take it all at face value and start passing it on. Otherwise, it's like a bad game of telephone from when you were 4 years old.
Well, this is our journey to evolve. You know, the co-flu came with a lot of gifts too. We might not have liked a lot of stuff that's happened, but there's been a lot of gifts. And it's to teach us to grow and evolve and learn and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So this is probably a big learning topic that, you know,
it is, yeah.
Right?
Think about the breakthroughs that have happened through some of your most painful experiences in life. You didn't understand why it was happening in that moment, but whether it's 1 year or 5 years down the road, you look back and you're like, okay, I don't want to go through that again, but I'm happy that it did because this is what it taught me. This is where it's brought me.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I would just like to say for the record, there is 10 more weeks of flu season, but does anybody know how long stroke season lasts?
Honestly, I shouldn't laugh because everyone who's suffering from a stroke right now, it just like breaks my heart. But yeah, honestly, everything that they're coming out with now, like, oh, you know, we didn't realize that we actually, you know, not only do we have flu season, we have stroke season too. Really? Do we?
We have myocarditis season, you know.
We're going to have heart attack season.
Yet, but that's next year when it comes with climate change.
I was going to say, guys, it's the cold causing it. Don't be conspiracy theorists.
It was video games last week.
Yeah, that's right. Video games. The cold causes it. The heat causes it. I mean, listen, just stepping outside your door causes it. Hey, and if you don't, you know, if you're the polar opposite and you don't take the jab, well, then, you know, you're more likely to get into motor vehicle accidents too, because, you know, you don't listen to rules. You're not a rule follower. So
we're back to single digits before the government loses their grip on the actual season. Excuses. So yay, we're almost there. We're almost there.
I was gonna hit that one too.
I like Rosanna's bullshit season. season.
Yeah.
That's
like
perfect.
Yeah, that's
like that.
exactly. Yeah, that's what the new fall will start calling it that instead.
True.
Nothing like waking up and going to bed with propaganda constantly, you know. So
Every morning you wake up, what's new today? I think we got
yeah.
room for one more. It's almost like, you know, that I'm a little bit older than you guys, but do you remember when Arsenio Hall used to have that segment that was like things that make you go,
Mm.
So,
yeah.
you know how Trudeau and uh, Sleepy Joe and the president of Mexico, what's his name, or Obrador, they met, was it like a week or two ago, I guess, the three of them? They were calling it like the Three Amigos event. Did you guys see this?
Yeah, sort of.
I feel like Rami told me about it, but I totally.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay. So, you know, those three come together is not going to be a good thing, right? So they have now put out a declaration of North America, and it is literally legislation that looks like it's overriding what's happening with our own constitutions within our own countries.
Is this the
Oh,
WEF
fine.
charter?
Yeah.
It's called the Declaration of North America, and you can literally Google search it. I saw something on somebody was reporting on it on the US news, and so I looked it up, and it's in Canada as well, and they've all signed off on this. And it's basically their plans to expand protections. This is the thing, is that this is that discernment conversations about learning how to understand and see through their fluffy words on these documents,
Yeah.
where they're talking about expanding protections of community. So like, you know, when it comes to, say, for instance, like the LGBTQ, they're looking to expand protections of that community. And so I was saying in the post that I put out, I said, let me ask you this. I said, if there's hate crimes against someone or anybody's hurt, whether you man, woman, or child, should that punishment not be the same for everybody? Like if we're truly talking about equality
True.
here, should the
Mhm.
same punishment not be the same for somebody who has a different sexual preference over a religion or over a race? Like it's the same. Like we're teaching equality, but yet we're going to expand protections for this particular community. So, you know, it's just, and then they were talking about, you know, obviously supporting more of that, which means putting more of that community in your children's faces. So through the libraries and through the schools. They're talking about obviously more to do with climate change, which is literally, again, if you look past the fluffy words, it's about keeping you more in your home or what you can actually do in your home. They're talking about, you know, of course, the stoves, what stoves you can have in your house now and stuff, like whether it's gas or electric and whatnot. So it's a very interesting read. I would definitely go and take a look at it. And it's one of those documents that it's a pain, and this is how they get you, because the documents are long. It's a finger scroller, right? But when you actually read through it and you start to break it down, you really see what it is in the plan. And of course, this plan is all for Agenda 2030 is when they're hoping to have it all wrapped up by, which we've been saying all along. It's there. It's just one more document to prove it.
And one more little tidbit of info for anybody when we're talking about natural gas and gas stoves. So as a teen, my ex's uncle was the CEO for BC Hydro. And just so everybody knows here, there's enough natural gas resource in British Columbia, okay, to power all of North America, Canada, the United States, and even countries abroad, just in British Columbia alone. So when they start feeding you this garbolio, please know that the top CEO of BC Hydro, I think, is quite knowledgeable in that regard. And it's just garbage. It's absolute and utter garbage.
And Denis Rancourt has an entire study that he's done on climate change and how it's actually not what they say it is at all. It's totally made up. So
Well, and we know too, because we're watching all of these deletes move their butts to the shore, like off to like Martha's Vineyard and whatever else. They're telling you to get out because we're all going to die from climate change. Meanwhile, they're buying it up as soon as you're out of there.
Yep.
Exactly.
Right? That should be your first freaking clue. Tanya, did you see the billboard in Ottawa about the first 15-minute city in your area?
I'm
There's
not
one in
sure.
Edmonton, I think. They
There's a
posted up
lot
the
of BS billboards coming up in Ottawa right now. So
Yeah. It says home of the 15-minute city.
no.
which
Oh,
is another
no.
term for smart city, correct?
Do you have, if you don't, I don't think you got to know what area it is, but I'd love to go there in person. It might be in a city part that I don't drive to.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll
Huh.
find it and send it to you. I thought of you immediately.
If you can find out what part of the city, I'll definitely go in person and take a video of that.
Okay, I will.
How is there nobody out there that's like literally taking one for the team? Like we've got all of these guys at the WEF right now. Like, can somebody just go and drop one of those great big on there and just save us all from this?
Yeah.
Well, there is. He's just waiting.
A girl can
patiently.
dream.
I know, Tanya, that's what's in my head too, right? I'm just like,
You guys, the prophecy is manifesting itself. We can't deny
know.
that. You know, the devil's walking the earth right now. People don't even recognize him. Like he's like not even hiding himself, and people don't even are
No.
just like, I don't want to see him, even if he's right there and he's telling me that that's him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I feel how near, you know, that uprising is going to happen. I feel it because as soon as the injustice and everything gets as bad as it can, and you guys, it's easy for us to just think about Canada, North America, COVID, WF, climate change. I'm talking about injustice in the world where you've got the kids starving in Yemen that literally don't have any food. You're talking about every second there's a child that's dying of starvation there, right? Like there's injustice happening so much in the world right now, and there's only so much it's going to get to before it's like enough is enough. Now we feel it because it's hitting first world countries where you're feeling those effects. And when it really hits first world countries, then you know it's bad. And I just feel like it's about to implode very soon.
Well, I'm looking forward to the 1,000 years of Jubilee.
Right?
That's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like 100%. I look forward to that. Okay, cool. If that means that it has to get a little bit uglier before that's going to happen, then so be it.
Yeah.
I'll survive and I'll keep my faith and say, I just want to see that day.
Yeah. Amen.
So I'm happy to be able to live in the era where that's happening. Some people are like, oh, I wish it didn't happen in my era. Maybe my kids or my grandparents. Like, no, I'm happy. I want to see this.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Yeah. Amazing.
Well, that's a great note to end on. Yeah.
Yep.
It is, yeah.
It was a slice, lovelies. Yeah.
That was delightful, ladies.
Yes, it's very nice. Very good. It's always good to catch up. And it's nice that we were able to do a Tuesday back to back.
Right.
I find Tuesdays are easier than Fridays, so for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Mind you, Dad doesn't like it. I don't know if you could hear him screaming.
No.
No. Aw.
It's okay. Abby's home. It's all good.
We'll be with your daddy.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants to go to
Well,
bed.
thanks everyone for hopping on. I'm sure we'll try to make time for this next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Talk about things coming up, and love you, ladies.
Love you.
Have a great
Bye.
week, everybody.
Bye, everybody.